Hello everyone, this is Aeroica, and thanks so much for stopping by for another video. I finally made it to the end of Chapter 20 with 3-star success all the way down the list. Of all the dungeons in this chapter, Pinnacle was by far the most difficult. The girls you will encounter in this dungeon have definitely been training, so don't be fooled by their innocent looking faces. If they don't hit you like a truck, then they definitely have some defensive qualities that will make your run a nightmare. In this episode, I'll cover the walkthrough solution for this dungeon so you can learn how to skirt your way to the boss and get started on that final chapter. For this dungeon, I chose Aeroica and Yoko as tanks, Yasmin for heals, and Bovis for DPS. All of my heroes are 6-starred and fully ascended. I originally attempted to use the same hero setup as I did for Chapter 19's Deadly Descent. However, I discovered that while that setup is solid in defensive qualities, for this dungeon, it lacks the DPS to make it less painful. The change that I made was minor, but instead of bringing Augustus for extra heals, I brought Bovis for added DPS. Since the bosses are blessed with orbs, it's not a matter of element versus element damage, but rather because all of Bovis's attack do some form of DPS, while Augustus only has one DPS attack aside from his basic. Bovis' Stampede attack also has the potential to save off some of the boss's more aggressive attacks, at least for another turn, and his Purging Smash attack can get rid of those pesky defense buffs. In this composition, I brought Aeroica, who is an excellent tank. His Polar Pound ability has a chance to freeze enemies and save you from a few attacks. Additionally, his taunt comes with a 70% reflective quality, and this is just another way to maximize DPS. I also brought Yoko as my alternate tank since he comes equipped with his Sumo Stomp ability, which not only has a chance to daze the enemies so you can be spared a few wallops, but also gives the entire team a defense buff. This is not only critical to the tanking role, but also as a minor safety net for the rest of the team, as Acriel has a Purging Smash attack which can remove the active taunt. In the interim, before you get another taunt going, this defense buff may be the only thing that saves you from missing out on your 3-star victory. Couple that with the fact that he has a self-heal ability, and you can see why he's a valuable member for this team. I chose Yasmin for my healer because her passive 10% heal to the most damaged hero after every round is just too valuable to pass up. In this fight, there is the potential for a single attack to do massive damage to your heroes, and that little bump in the HP bar can make all the difference. Additionally, her 3 heals are very good and well designed as to accommodate whatever damage you need to overcome. For this dungeon, I chose to bring 2 energy potions and 1 heal potion. Since Yasmin is the only healer and Yoko can only heal himself, I wanted to make sure that I had an emergency health potion in the event things got out of control. This dungeon has a recommended level of 72, and if your heroes are lower than the current level cap of 70, you may encounter an increased level of difficulty in completing the dungeon. There are 4 platforms that you will need to clear prior to getting to the boss. The trash mobs that you will encounter consist of water-armored tanks, nature armored healers, which primarily cast defense buffs, and light armored healers, which cast heals. You should also take note that the tanks have a 2x damage multiplier against taunting heroes, and you should be careful if the platform is heavily populated with this kind of mob. It is recommended that you take out light enemies first, followed by the water enemies, and then the nature. The light healers can be troublesome if they get to cast a heal, and the water tanks will take a fair amount of damage from Yasmin as they are sensitive to spirit attacks. The nature mobs do not do a lot of damage, and you can auto-attack the last 1 or 2 to get your abilities powered up for the next platform. While the first 3 platforms can have a random pattern of trash mobs, the final platform before the boss is consistent. Once there, you will encounter 3 epic level armored healers for nature, water, and light. The recommended kill order for this platform is light, water, then nature. Try to have your abilities powered near the end so that they are ready for the boss fight. While the nature healer does not do a lot of damage, we do not want any accidents to happen this late in the dungeon. Keep a taunt going for safe measure. The boss fight itself consists of 2 armored healers, Acriel, which is the light enemy, and Aquarius, which is the water enemy. Because both bosses carry the ability to resurrect, you will need to DPS them both evenly. I split up my team and put Aeroica, Yoko, and Yasmin on Acriel and assigned Bovis to Aquarius. Don't get too concerned on this measure, however, and just make sure you are DPSing the bosses as evenly as possible. While there is the possibility of a resurrection, if you kill one of the bosses well before the other, you do have a few rounds to get the job done. If you are close, use an energy potion on Bovis and try to finish the job quickly. In this fight, you'll be trading taunts between Aeroica and Yoko. In order to maximize taunt efficiency, you will want to make sure that you do not overlap taunts by more than one energy. This is because Acriel is equipped with a Purging Smash ability, which can remove the taunt from your tank. If the other taunt is on cooldown, you are forced to either use an energy potion or cross your fingers that Yasmin and Bovis do not look too interesting to either of the bosses. Additionally, Aquarius has an exhausting blow attack which will reduce the target's energy by 1. This, coupled with the Purging Smash ability, could spell disaster for your team if you are forced to go through a round of fighting with no tank. Acriel also has an Armor Break attack which makes your tank very vulnerable. While you can heal through it, it's best to purge with Yasmin's Cure Wounds ability if possible, or get her Aegis shield on the affected tank and try to bring him back to full health. The good news is that this debuff only lasts about 1 round, so if you can survive the initial application and the rest of the round of the attacks, you should pull through. If this is not available, the only other option would be to cause the other tank to taunt early, and depending on where you are in the tank rotation, use an energy potion to bring things back into sync. The damage should be evenly distributed between the two bosses. If you see one boss noticeably more damaged than the other, switch targets and bring them back to equal. Keep in mind that they do not have to die together, but rather within a time frame that prevents the boss from resurrecting. If the boss is resurrected, it will materialize at half health. Since this is a long fight, you will more than likely be out of resources such as potions, and you will have to decide to continue or start over. Keep in mind that each boss fight is dynamic in nature, and there were several times I ran this dungeon and encountered issues where I was not able to survive. Because these two bosses have the ability to create high-level spike damage, they can cooperatively take out one of your tanks in a single hit. Try to prepare as best you can for the hard-hitting attacks and be ready with heals and debuff purges if you haven't seen these attacks in a few rounds. Otherwise, once the two bosses are low on health, be ready to take them out. If you're lucky like I was in this fight, you can get the job done with Bovis' Stampede, which for me is about as sweet a victory as it gets. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found the video informative. If you did, make sure you give the subscribe button a click so you can be notified when my next video comes out. Let me know what worked for you by sending me a screenshot using the direct message feature in Instagram. You can also follow me on Twitter for game updates, new hero releases, tactics, and other information. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you at the next video.